Hey guys, it's Squidtoshi. Today I just want to go over Bitcoin. Just over a week ago, I talked about wanting to see a retracement to the 50-day moving average, which was also confluent with the VPVR, weekly open, and the 618 fib level. We did trade around this level, but we couldn't hold it as price moved lower to 39k. At this stage, I'm looking to see how price acts at the weekly open, and if we can move above the weekly open, I'll be looking for trades, but currently I feel like price could move lower in line with the sentiment chart that I'm seeing on Twitter. I'm a big believer in trade psychology and self-fulfilling prophecies. If enough people believe an outcome is likely, then the likelihood of the outcome increases. But it is good to see a reset on both RSI and Stodge RSI on the daily for Bitcoin. Just on trade psychology, a quick example of this would be the previous top at 69k. Not only did Twitter think selling at 69k was a good meme, but it was also just under the main psychological resistance at 70k. Let's move over to the sentiment chart. As we can see here, it's very reminiscent of Bitcoin and lines up fairly well. Price was moving up from a low, returning confidence to the market. Then we got a slight cool off here, which acted as a good buy the dip area for late longers and people that just wanted to get into a Bitcoin position. This followed another uptrend into peak enthusiasm, or as other people say, peak greed, eventually getting stopped out at 69,000 just before the 70k psychological resistance, falling down to what acted as support in this period, which was 60k. Bitcoin couldn't hold the support at 60k as it wasn't very well tested, and a lot of people at this stage wanted to sell. So losing 60k on the sentiment chart and on Bitcoin was our first warning that there could be a further downtrend. After a week of Bitcoin trending down, we then got a large capitulation candle that wicked all the way down to $42,000, in line with the sentiment chart's panic wick. Bitcoin then recovered from the low of $42,000 and trended sideways in a pretty tight range between about 45,500 to a high of about 52,000. After trending sideways for a while, we solidified some resistance at the $48,000 price point. Once we locked in 48k as resistance and price couldn't get above it, that led us into the next part of the downtrend that resulted in discouragement. The sentiment of Bitcoin at this area was pretty bad. People did think the market was over, and there was even calls for $25,000 Bitcoin, $20,000 Bitcoin. It was pretty rough. But after price wicked to a low of 32,000 or 33, price then started moving back up within our range and eventually led us to what's indicated on the sentiment chart as the wall of worry, which over the last week or two we've experienced, bringing us to a version, which is where we're currently at. Who knows if we have bottomed on a version or if there's more pain to come. I do feel we could wick lower, especially if we have bad price action around the weekly open. And in my opinion, a level that we could wick to is the 35,500 level, which acted as resistance back in June and July of 2021 when price couldn't get above these levels for weeks. What I'm waiting to see, as I talked about in the previous chart, is I'm waiting to see how price acts around the weekly open. If we bounce off it, then I expect to go lower and potentially see a wick down to the 35k area. If we can break the weekly open, then there's potential the price continues up and targets a break of not only the weekly open, but the yearly open, and could potentially follow the sentiment chart that everyone on Twitter is talking about. Again, if enough people believe an outcome is likely, then the likelihood of the outcome increases. That's all I have for you today, guys. I'll drop this chart and the sentiment chart in the description below if you want to check it out. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video and go follow me on Twitter. Squidtoshi out.